Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at networking and the internet. It's the primary reason why we have computers these days, why we like computers these days. Not the only reason, but definitely a big part of it. And this is a really old map of the US map of the internet. And you can see that it's kind of old. It has that look to it, doesn't it? Well, definitely it's kind of old. And what I want to point your attention to, let me just blow this up even further, and then I'll scroll down here so you can see it. Right, what this map is telling us is here's the internetworking of networks. That's where internet gets its name. It comes from basically separate networks. This is IBM's network. They're all color coded, so you could follow that and look for the purple lines and look for the blue lines and so on. It's all these networks connected together. Now, this is, again, an old picture, but I bring it up because I want people to understand that concept that the internet gets its name from a connection to all the networks. And you really have a bunch of private networks out there that are all basically sharing. A way to put it would be, let's pretend like our US road system was actually not built by the government to begin with, but was built by private industry. That they decided, let's go out there and because I need to use the roads, I'm going to go ahead and create these roads. Well, that's really what IBM did here, right? IBM's is old school stuff, right? That they were there a long time ago, and they needed to network their systems together. And the same thing happened all over the place. Now, the government did get involved. They did have their own network, and we'll show you what that is. And then eventually they realized, hey, it would be really useful if we connected to one another. And then we could get electronically to places that we couldn't have gotten to before. And the internet is born. I want you to understand this information on the screen. The internet is made up of routers. Routers connect to the communications channels together, or where your data flows. The internet is made up of servers. Without those servers, we really would not care about the internet. A good example would be, I want to go search on Google, right? Once you type in google.com and you hit that web page, you're actually hitting a bank of hundreds of thousands of servers. And when you type that in and hit enter, the server then answers your request. And so the routers connect the communications channels. They're actually a box, not a little box, they're a box, a big box. And all of these lines that we see here, like where you see it come into in these places, they would be connected to a box known as a router. And the reason I call it a box is because it's square. And it's got connecting points on it, and you connect it all in. And once you connect those to that router, it's not the only thing you do. You have to program it. Networking people make a lot of money doing this kind of stuff. But the routers then will connect all those electronic lines together so that you're able to move the traffic around, right? So routers are moving that traffic through the communications channels, and those channels are the literal lines or the wireless that you're using. Around here, most of our connection goes out through fiber optics through Valley Telecom, and so that goes down to Benson, goes to Tucson. We have a connection over to El Paso and so on. Those are communications channels, the actual fibers themselves. And then, of course, this is what we're after, the servers. I want to go to Google, I can go to Apple, I need to go to iCloud or OneDrive or eac.edu, right? Those are all the servers that are handing out the information that we want to see. Now, how that information gets to us through these communications channels, through these routers, is by the use of protocols. And protocol, that term, doesn't just mean computer stuff. It just means this is the way we do things. These are the rules that we have that get things done. For instance, TCP/IP, which you learn about in class, is transmission control protocol, internet protocol, and it's the numbering system and a couple of other protocols in there that allow the communications to take place. SMTP is simple mail transport protocol. That's how your email is sent. HTTP and HTTPS, that is all of your webs that you access all the time. And then, of course, none of this matters without you. We need you in there, right? The reason that all their stuff is there is for us to be able to access the data. And so you're a part of that. So if I was to ask you, hey, what are the components of the internet? Then that would be routers, communications channel servers, protocols, and the clients, or us. Now, take a look at the old internet. I found this online. There was actually a person that, gosh, I need my picture out of the way. So let me get rid of me for a minute. There we are. And he actually found this in his dad's attic. And if you just look closely at this, and you'll notice a few things. Like here is Hawaii. Here's Ames, standing for Ames Research. Here's another Ames. This is Xerox, right? So this is not physically the way it looked. This is logically the way it looked, how things were connected. So down here is Stanford, here's USC, right? And then here's ETech, Harvard, Aberdeen, Carnegie, USC, Berkeley, right there. Here's Utah, Illinois, and so on. So this is a really old picture. I think it's from 1974. And these are actually the systems that they're connecting to. A PDP-10 was a certain type of system, an IBM 360-44. And I bring this up just to kind of show where we came from. This project that you see on the screen was all government funded. It was part of trying to figure out how you could continue communications after you had some kind of tragic nuclear event. That's when it was made. This one is taken from the second quarter 1000. That's what that means. A long time ago, 21 years ago, but it shows a little more. This was TNT's network. And again, after 9/11, then you couldn't find this stuff anymore. They have it, right? But they don't put it out there so people could see it. But it kind of shows the growth of the internet, which is fantastic. Now, when we talk about the internet, we have to talk about the World Wide Web. And the reason why we have to do that is we have to help you understand that they're two different things. So the internet is all of that stuff I talked about. It's everything, right? So if somebody said, well, what's the internet? You would say, well, the internet is the routers, it's the communications channels, it's the servers, it's the protocols, it's the people. That's everything. Well, they say, well, what's the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web? Well, the World Wide Web is a set of protocols that sits on top of the internet. There's a lot more to the internet than just the World Wide Web. Now, Tim Berners-Lee, he is the creator, the one person that created the World Wide Web. And how he did it was he created HTML, or hypertext markup language, and that's used to design the web pages you see. And then HTTP, which is used to transport those pages to where they need to go, from server to you, from server to you. And that's known as Hypertext Transport Protocol. So that's how he invented the World Wide Web. The other component was needing a browser that could actually read HTML and actually understand HTTP. And the browser becomes our window right into the World Wide Web. And if you're not what a browser is Microsoft Edge, it's Google Chrome, it's Firefox, it's Safari, it's Opera, it's OptiX. There are hundreds and hundreds of browsers out there. I tend to use Opera a lot, and I use Safari a lot. Those are probably the two biggest ones, but I have Firefox installed and I have Edge installed, of course, because that's what runs on Microsoft stuff. Edge, by the way, the brand new Edge is just Chrome with some more security. So they basically just took Chrome and modified it. That's what Microsoft did. So that's the World Wide Web. Who created it? When was it created? 1989. Tim Berners-Lee created it. Sir Tim Berners-Lee, because he was knighted for that.